Alright, what up, people? It's your boy Chig from Gooner Eagle Eye. Sorry if you heard me cough, I'm about to again. Hold on. No, it went away. Sorry about that. Coming to you the very, very, very late edition. Technically, I'm recording this at 12:03 on the 28th. Um, so technically, it's a Friday edition of the Gooner Eagle Eye, episode 16. Sorry, this episode has come so late. Um, just been a bit of a mad week this week between me traveling out and about for work and recently coming back, and just work is really full on at the moment. I get the impression it's like that for everyone at the moment. I think everyone's kind of trying to get various rushes just before Christmas begins to hit. Um, and it's no different in my workplace, to be fair. So yeah, my bad with how late this edition is. But as per usual, what I'll do in these shows is whenever we have a midweek game, depending on if that game falls on a Tuesday or falls on a Wednesday, you'll see a review or preview um, of the game in these shows. So it either tends to be a Champions League game, or very recently, it tends to be an EFL Cup game, which in this case, it was the latter, where we played Reading. We won 2-0, as I predicted. Um, kind of was what it was. It was, in a weird way, it was a really boring game to kind of watch. I was watching it just to give you an idea of how mad my situation was. So I managed to get a stream of the game, but I was watching it on the way back from Western Supermat. So to say it kept cutting out would be an understatement, but I managed to see bits and bobs, and I did see most of the second half as well at home. So to be fair, I was in London when I started watching the game, and I was able to miss the Arsenal fan traffic on the way back home, so I can't complain too much. But yeah, it was interesting. It was interesting from a point of view of just the fact that it was good to see the kids out. I think if there's any kind of doubt that Debussy is damn near been exiled from the club, albeit he's still technically an Arsenal player, but has been exiled from the club. It was the fact that Jenkinson came back into the team and no one batted an eyelid. I'm fairly certain you will not see Debussy in an Arsenal shirt again. Which is a shame on the one hand, but to tell you the truth, and I'm not just saying this because of what's transpired. I thought this from the very get-go anyway, even when he was a Newcastle player. I think Jenkinson's a better player. And if you want ask me who I'd rather have as a Bellerin's understudy, it would be Jenkinson. It just would be. So I'm all right with this, to be perfectly honest. And to be fair, I thought he played quite well. So I mean, just to give you an idea of, I got most of the team correct. But there were some bits I didn't get. So I think I got about 8 players right. So in goal, as predicted, it was Martinez, who seems to be the EFL Cup gamekeeper. And if we're going to rate him, I thought he did pretty well. He made a couple of good saves in the first half. One really good save from a free kick, I thought, going down to his left in the second half. But other than that, he didn't really have all that much to do. I thought he commanded his area well enough. He's a good third choice keeper. So from that point of view, I'd give him a 7 out of 10. Didn't do anything wrong. Jenkinson, welcome back, Carl, the forgotten man. Every Arsenal fan, if they're being truthful, loves Carl Jenkinson. An absolute, genuine, true Arsenal fan. And someone to see him do well because he is an Arsenal fan. You know, he is someone who genuinely loves the club. And someone who I still believe can be a very good player. And someone who could potentially, he's young enough. I think, what is he, 25, 26? 25, I think? still more than capable of pushing Bellerin for his place. And that's what you want. You want competition all over the pitch. And I think he's a good player. And I thought he played well yesterday. Was it yesterday? Tuesday. Was it Tuesday? It was Wednesday. What am I talking about? Sorry, Wednesday. My brain has gone. It was Tuesday. Whenever we played Reading. That's so bad. Whenever we played Reading, it was Tuesday. I apologize. I thought he did well in large parts. There were a couple of times where he had the opportunity to score a goal. One in particular where I felt like he should have done better. At least tested the goalkeeper. Quite frankly, our finishing was just lackadaisical at best on Tuesday. We had so many opportunities to put the game out of sight. We were just poor. We were poor on Tuesday. Yeah, kind of was what it was. Didn't really ever get out of first gear the whole team, to be fair. But yeah, anyway, sorry, back to the rating. So I'll give Carl a 7. I actually liked Holding's contribution. I'm going to mark him slightly higher than I marked Gabriel. I thought he looked composed. I thought he tied it up on a couple of occasions for Gabriel when Gabriel inexplicably kept slipping up. I have no idea why, quite literally slipping. Like, I don't know what was going on. I know it rained, but flip. So yeah, and he was one of the main catalysts for the second goal, where it went on a bit of a trickery run. Obviously, Ott scored both of them. The second one being a deflection, but there was one point where he kind of went on a driving run from the right-hand wing. Laid it off to Giroud. Giroud laid it off to Ox, and Ox had a shot which was deflected in. So I thought he did well. For me, I've got big hopes for Holding. I genuinely believe he's Koscielny's replacement, and he is the future. Someone who I truly think will be that guy. You watch. Just something about him just screams very good player. So for me, 7 out of 10. Gabriel 6. I thought he was okay. Didn't do anything particularly wrong. It just, he's an average player. He's just an average player. So I'd give him a 6. Gibbs, who was the captain all night, did all right. Didn't do anything particularly wrong. Yeah, he was okay. Give him a 6 out of 10. Maitland-Niles seems to be the player that everybody's excited by. Went from playing right back in the previous round, played alongside El Nene yesterday, and I thought did well. Didn't look out of place. Had a couple of nice touches, nice skillful touches. Don't get me wrong, I'm not going to start saying he needs to start on Sunday or anything, but I'll tell you what, if we're still having this conversation this time next year, could quite conceivably start alongside an El Nene or a Coquelin or a Xhaka and wouldn't feel out of place. Something tells me this kid could be about something. And that's exciting to me, And obviously, as fans and as, all right, England might not be my first. Yes, I was born and raised here. England might not be my first footballing team. My first international footballing team is Nigeria. Having said that, I still, as an English man, still want to see English players coming through the squad. And there's something nice about a local lad doing well, coming through the squad, and contributing to the team. And, nothing pleases fans more when they see one of their own effectively doing well. And Maitland-Niles is one of our own, doing well. And I honestly believe you will continue to see big things out of him. I thought I'd give him a 7 out of 10. El Nene, I thought was okay. Didn't really see him a lot on Tuesday. Didn't really need to put his foot in that much. Took a couple of corners. That was it. 6 out of 10. Iwobi weirdly started on the left hand side. I said weirdly because he's been playing game in, game out. Seemed like the whole team was rested. Why wouldn't you rest Iwobi as well? Probably an indication to me that I believe Alexis will probably go back to the left hand side at the weekend, and you may find that Sanchez drops to the left hand side as a result. Mark my words that I said that. Mark my words. I think that's an indication of that. It's also important to bear in mind that Chuba played on the left-hand side and did quite well, I thought, against Forest last round. And obviously, Chuba's injured until the new year. Had a bad injury. In fact, the injury wasn't supposed to be that bad, and then he had a bit, in typical Arsenal fashion, had a setback. And now it seems to be out until 2017. So that will be a lot of the reason why Chuba wasn't playing on Tuesday and Iwobi was. Nevertheless, you would have thought we would have had, I don't know, some sort of backup or someone to play on that left-hand side. I don't know. It just seemed like a weird choice to me. Even if it meant that Jeff played on the left, or perhaps we had a Willock or someone like that play as a number 10. Nevertheless, I thought he did okay. Had a couple of opportunities. Was making a nuisance of himself, so I'd give him probably a 6.5 out of 10. Jeff, probably one of Jeff's poorer games. He himself also had an opportunity, quite an easy opportunity, I thought, to extend our lead. Missed that. Other than that, I didn't really see him do that much, if you want me to be perfectly honest. I'd give him a 5. Honestly, I'd give him a 5. I thought it was his worst game that I've seen. What's his name have, and more to the point, actually. Speaking of which, it was interesting to see that Gibbs and Iwobi played last night. They put a winger or a speedy right winger on our left hand side, their right hand side. And obviously, Iwobi's notoriously terrible at tracking back, and Gibbs managed to cope with everything. So that might be an indication of something to come. Sorry, just a little side note. Then Ox. Ox's performance is a difficult one to kind of score because technically he was man of the match. Technically, he scored 2 goals, so you might expect me to be ranting and raving about how brilliant Ox is. You guys know my feelings on Ox, and I guess I might as well just go into this now. So I have a whole segment on Ox. I might as well go into this now. So he's been leading on calls to start games. You know, he's clearly attempting to put pressure on the manager that he deserves to start games. And he's clearly making more of an effort. You know, he's putting a lot more of an effort. And in this game, this game typified everything I think Ox is, from the frustration to the brilliance. If you want to see Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain in a nutshell, you watch this game. There were so many parts of this match where he was absolutely brilliant. You know, he was a constant nuisance. I think that's probably the best way of describing his performance. He was a constant nuisance to that Reading defense. You know, he just kept plugging away and plugging away and plugging away. And to be fair, that's what you want from your wingers. You know, you don't want your wingers to, if they have a bad kind of miss or they had an opportunity which they screwed up, you don't want them to have their head down. You just want to keep them to keep plugging away. And that's what Ox did. You know, there were opportunities where, to be quite frank, the man should have had about 4 goals on Tuesday. Straight up. And an assist while we're at it. You know, and the thing that I think every Arsenal fan feels frustrated with Ox about is, for me, the man is a brilliant footballer. He is. You guys have heard me defend Ox before, and I will defend him again. I truly believe somewhere deep down in this man, he knows exactly what he's doing. There is some sort of genius somewhere in his footballing brain. The one part of his brain that seems to just not quite click is his final decision. I think 3/4 of the way, he knows what he wants to do. Like, he'll get up to the player, more often than not, beat the player, which my old criticism about Theo was often he would run straight into a player and not even beat the player. Ox would do more than that. Ox will beat the player, get past the player, and then comes the final part, the final bit of what you want the man to do, whether it's to pass it to the player's feet, pass it slightly ahead of the player, or cross it for the man to header in, or shoot. I would say 6, maybe 7 times out of 10, Ox will pick the wrong choice. He'll do something where you think to yourself, why have you picked to do that? Like, what? I mean, it just leaves you bamboozled. Like, Ox, what are you doing? Why would you do that? And it makes you scream at, and I'm not gonna lie, on Tuesday a few times, I was like, oh my gosh, are you being serious? Like, there were a couple of opportunities, particularly the second half, where you're like, you really have not scored that. Are you being serious? But you kept plugging away and plugging away. His first goal was very, very good. He basically backed the defender up, took the shot early, caught everyone by surprise. Goalkeeper had no chance. Second goal, people to try and take it away from him, but quite frankly, we're always asking our players to shoot. And all right, it had a major deflection, so that's kind of the reason why we ask you to shoot, so that things like that happen. I like him for that as well. For me, I like Ox most of all because out of all the players in our squad, other than maybe Sanchez, he's the player who's most likely to grab the ball and just dribble at a player. No bullshit, none of this sideways pass nonsense. Just take the ball and just run at a player. Other than Sanchez is the only other player that is prepared to do that. So I do like him for things like that. In my opinion, has he shown enough to start a game? Possibly. You know, there are rumors that now Theo has picked up a knock, which is a little bit gutting because he's been on really good form. So it's more than likely I could see Ox either playing in the middle alongside an El Nene, or playing on the right-hand side in Theo's position, or possibly playing on the left-hand side. I thought it was intriguing that Iwobi was playing on Tuesday instead of being rested. I can see him starting on Sunday, and I think he will start. I'm not yet sure where, but I think he will start. I think a lot of it will depend on if Theo makes it. I'm fairly certain Santi won't, but apparently Ramsey may be back on time for that game. So I can see Vanna. You know, Vanna loves him a bit of Ramsey. I can see him starting Ramsey alongside El Nene on Sunday. So I'm not against him playing and starting, but he needs to take a chance. It's all well and good moaning and saying that you're not starting games and moaning to the manager about you being given an opportunity. Having said all that, when you get your opportunity, you have to take it, and he has to take it. And do I believe he will take it? I don't know. You know, Sunderland, on the face of things, it's going to be a match that we're expected to win. But then so was Saturday. So I'll come back to my thoughts about the weekend, but I just wanted to get that Ox segment out of the way, just because he's a player that people have even criticised me for defending. I just my gut feeling won't allow me to give up on him. It just won't. I believe he has it, but now's the time to show it. So it's all well and good banging on a drum, making noise, talking about how you deserve to start and how you have to look at your future. To tell you the truth, rightly so. You know, if he's not playing, maybe you should move on. But at the same time, if you believe you deserve to play, rather than make a spectacle of yourself on TV, how about, I don't know, show it on the pitch? Make the right decision. Anyway, that's my little rant over and done with. So, all in all, I'd give Ox an 8 for the simple reason that although I didn't feel he was faultless, I thought he did keep plugging away and plugging away and plugging away. And whether you like to hear it or not, that takes some guts. That does. It takes some balls. And then Perez. Oh, poor Perez. As for Perez, he came on. Starting, I should say. I thought he did okay. There was an opportunity he had where inexplicably he tried to pass it to a Wobie or Jeff or someone like that. I think it was Jeff he tried to pass it to. And he should have just took it on with his right foot. And it just makes you just wonder, like, oh, Perez, why? Why? And then he came off from the game, and I think everyone was thinking to himself, and then Drew came on. And I thought Drew did all right, you know, clearly working his way back to fitness. If I gave Perez 6, I'd probably give Drew the same thing. Had an opportunity to score, but also, to be fair to Drew, his presence did keep giving Reading problems. So, yeah, I think with Perez, I am disappointed for him because now this is the time of the season where we start to pick up typically injuries. You know, Santi's gone for God knows how long. We don't have a return date yet for Santi, which worries me. That worries me. And then you have Theo, it looks like, has picked up a knock. Like, when the hell did this happen? Hopefully it won't be serious. Hopefully it is just a minor knock and he'll be fine for Saturday afternoon. Bear in mind, we're 12:30 kickoff, so it needs to be all right. We need to be able to set the pace. And then I suppose you have Perez, who it looks like he's going to be out for 6 weeks. It looks like, which will probably turn into the end of the year. I can't put it this way: it's October the 28th now. 6 weeks would take us to Christmas, or just before Christmas. I'd be surprised if we see him playing before the end of the year. It's just the way our injuries happen. It's the way our injuries happen. So we're now already down a striker. The only benefit now is that come December, we should both have Perez and Welbeck back in the team. That's probably the only shining light that's coming into the team. That at least around the Christmas period, we'll have both of them in a team. But as the title of this video suggests, sorry about that, my mic fell out. As the title of this video suggests, I am more than a little bit nervous about November. It's a month that typically messes us up. It's a month that typically we get nervous in, we perform really weird in. It's a month where we have difficult fixtures. You know, we have Spurs at home. We have a trip to Old Trafford, a match I badly. Other than the Spurs games, if I could pick one other game that I wish we win, I so badly want us to win that United game. So badly. You know, and This is the time. This is the time when we need us as much of our full squad together as possible. For me, the Middlesbrough pub, shall we say, was a bad one. It was one that I could see coming, just for the simple reason that I feel like we do have these games, but sometimes we just switch off. We get a bit complacent, and also, and I said it on on Liam's channel, and that is we just have this habit sometimes of almost getting complacent when we've had a big victory. You just look at it through history. Whenever we had a big victory, the following game always seems to be some sort of stupid struggle. So I wasn't entirely surprised by the 0-0. But I guess onwards and upwards to Sunderland. And man, I feel for the guys who are people like DT and Troops who are making that 6-hour drive. I would say probably first thing in the morning, dawn. You can imagine they'll be driving straight off the bat, trying to get up there. It's going to be a long drive. And in theory, we should annihilate these guys. In theory, we should annihilate them. I feel like it will be a 2-0 victory. I feel like it'll take us some time to figure it out. The games at Stamford Stadium of Light, Stamford Bridge, Stadium of Light are never the easiest. Usually takes us some time to figure it out. But this ain't an Allardyce team, it's a Moyes team, and they are performing abysmally at the moment. Yes, we slipped up on Saturday, but I think we were knackered. I think we'll be more on point. I think the midweek break will do people like Ozil and Sanchez some good. I think we'll get back on track at the weekend. So call me silly. I think it will be 2-0. I even think Sanchez and Ozil will score. So yeah, let's see what happens. I'll do my predicted 1-11 team in my preview video. And other than that, let's just see what happens, onwards and upwards. For me, it's all about being in good shape for nervous November. We're 2 points. We're a goal off top. So we're obviously doing something right. The one saving grace that we had is when we slipped up inexplicably against Southampton. I mean, what a result that Southampton home win that we had earlier this season looks now. And see, we're losing that game too. And then Spurs slipped up, which surprised me, I must admit. Made me happy, but surprised me. But the one worry for all three of us is that Chelsea won and beat United well. It looks like Chelsea are back. They won 4-0. So it's all to play for this league. Fortunately for us, there's no outstanding teams. And we just need to make sure that we're in the mix and we're good to go come the start of November. Because historically, regardless of these fixtures that I've mentioned earlier, I've said it before and I say it again, there's 2 months that we tend to lose titles on. Nervous November and fuck up February. I would just like us for once to just see our way through both months unscathed. I'm not necessarily saying we'll win all the games in November because it's damn near unlikely. But let's, by the time Christmas happens, be within the top 2. Let's, by the time February happens, I don't know, be top. Is that impossible? I think we've got the squad good enough. I think we've got the manager. He's won a title before, so I have to say he's good enough to win a title. You know my reservations on the manager, but he's won a title before, albeit 12, 13 years ago. He's won a title before. He knows how to do it. Whether he is capable of doing it is another question. So I guess we will see. I guess there's not really a lot else to kind of bang on about other than we'll see. I'm not going to address any rumors about Ozil meeting up with Turkish team officials. I think if Ozil leaves us, he's going to one of two places. I think it's either Bayern Munich or it's going to be Real Madrid. I don't see it being anyone else. None of them have signed their contracts yet. There's a lot of word at the moment that Ozil wants to know that Wenger will stay before he signs his contract. And to tell you the truth, it wouldn't surprise me. In all honesty, it wouldn't surprise me if Bellerin is thinking the same thing. It wouldn't surprise me if Koscielny is thinking the same thing. It wouldn't surprise me if Sanchez is thinking the same thing. You know, and apparently Sanchez is thinking the same thing. So it does make you worry, because you think, on the one hand, you're thinking to yourself, oh, we need a new manager. But on the other hand, you don't want these players to leave because they're worried that Wenger won't stay. So it's a difficult catch-22, but I don't know. We'll just cross that bridge when we come to it. Let's focus on this season. Let's continue to push and push and push, and let's see where we get to. Sunderland up next. And let's be in some sort of good shape for Nervous November, because it is literally next week. It's round the corner. Anyway, let's meet out now. I'm going to leave you guys to it. I'm going to probably do a preview video of the Sunderland game tomorrow, given that we've got an early kickoff on Saturday, so I'll do it tomorrow, straight after work, so I'll probably be working from home. I'm probably going to see if I can have Mems on, and that's